You're listening to The Jacob Valk Show. He's breaking down the latest and greatest in sports as only he can. Follow him on Twitter at RealJacobValk. Here he is, Jacob Valk.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to another edition of the Jacob Valk Show. I am Jacob Valk, and I have to start with the Orlando Brown trade. Some people call the Sam Darnold trade a blockbuster. That's nothing compared to the Brown trade. I'm not going to recap it. You know what happened. But this is one of those rare trades that works for both sides. I think it makes sense for the Chiefs, and it makes sense for the Ravens. You take a look at the Chiefs. Less than 3 months ago, you saw Patrick Mahomes run for his life in the Super Bowl. He couldn't get anything going. These basic plays that Todd Bowles were calling made Mahomes look foolish. He was running around trying to make something happen. His receivers dropped balls. At the end of the day, that Super Bowl where Patrick Mahomes didn't throw a touchdown will be on his ledger forever. It's not Mahomes' fault. There's no question. It was because the offensive line was decimated. No Eric Fisher, no Mitchell Schwartz, and Andrew Wiley isn't that good to begin with. Now you take a look at what the Chiefs have done this offseason. They go out and give Joe Thuney a 5-year contract worth $80 million. I didn't even know they had the room necessary to give him that contract. The Jets were very interested in him. As soon as Thuney got an offer from the Chiefs, you knew that the Jets had no chance at him. That was a fantastic move for the Chiefs. They go out and sign Austin Blythe, formerly of the Rams. They lure Kyle Long out of retirement. Now they add Orlando Brown, one of the best tackles in the game. Mahomes is going to be able to take a nap before every pass. Is it a lot to give up? No question. But you've got to realize something. The Chiefs' window to win is now. You have the best player in the NFL. You owe it to him. You owe it to your fans. You owe it to everyone to do everything in your power to surround him with the talent necessary to win multiple Super Bowls. Yes, there will come a point where the Chiefs will be in cap hell and they may have some lean years. I'm not saying they won't make the playoffs, but we'll look at them as a team that when they get to the playoffs, they're not going to make a lot of noise. I understand that, But that's why you need to strike while the iron is hot now. If you have the ability to add a guy like Orlando Brown, someone who fills a glaring need, a guy who's one of the best tackles in the league, you do it. So then why did the Ravens trade Brown? This is something that I think I spoke about a couple months ago. We knew it was out there. I didn't think it would come to this. I did think cooler heads would prevail, but hey, I was wrong. Orlando Brown really wants to play left tackle. He played a lot of left tackle last year because Ronnie Stanley got hurt. The thing is, though, Ronnie Stanley is one of the best left tackles in the NFL. He's never played right tackle in the NFL. He played it a little bit in college. But realize something. That was 6 years ago. Did I think he could do it? The answer is yes. I feel like Ronnie Stanley is one of those guys who you can put anywhere on the O-line and he'll be fine. Brown wants to play left tackle because left tackles get more money. They're the blindside protectors. If you have a righty quarterback, he can see what's coming from his right, not his left. Left tackles do get paid more. They're more important. There's no question about that. Here's the thing, though. Stanley's already gotten his big boy contract. It's not like right tackle isn't important. Every position on the O-line is important. It's just that some are more important than others. As it stands right now, the Ravens' starting right tackle is Tyre Phillips. He was their third-round draft pick last year out of Mississippi State. According to Pro Football Focus, Phillips had the worst offensive grade out of any Raven last year. Now, part of that was because Phillips is a natural guard. The Ravens had to move him over to tackle. That's a tough transition for a third-round rookie to make. I get that. I'm not giving up on Phillips. But it just furthers my point that you could have put Stanley at right tackle. Or you keep Brown at right tackle and you say to him, we're going to pay you like a left tackle. I don't know if Brown would have gone for that. He said that his father told him, always play left tackle. I know that stuck with him. And the Ravens aren't going to be forced to play Phillips at right tackle next year. There are rumors that they're going to sign Alejandro Villanueva, which is kind of interesting because Villanueva is a natural left tackle. He hasn't played right tackle since 2015. So all this talk about jockeying positions, the Ravens are still going to end up with someone jockeying a position. It's just going to be a free agent signing, not a homegrown guy. This trade does make sense for both sides. If Orlando Brown really didn't want to play right tackle, It didn't matter if you were going to pay him like a left tackle. He just didn't want to play right tackle. And he didn't want to move Ronnie Stanley over to right tackle, which is understandable, because I wouldn't want the Jets to move Mekhi Becton over to right tackle. You've got a headache on your hands. You don't want that distraction. At the end of the day, you got a first-round pick in return for a guy who you're really not going to miss much. You have Stanley coming back. You're going to sign Villanueva. The Ravens are fine. It makes perfect sense for them. The only thing I'm not crazy about is that they traded him to the Chiefs. A team that they're gonna need to beat if they're gonna make it back to the Super Bowl. I mean, they just made the Chiefs a lot better. Make no mistake about it. And you know that Brown is going to be motivated. A guy like Pernell McPhee or Patrick Queen, Malik Harrison, whoever, he's going to want to have the game of his life against his old team. I mean, we could see an AFC title game between the Chiefs and Ravens next year. That's very possible. The Bills are in that mix too. I get that. But it's possible that we see Chiefs-Ravens. And this Brown trade is a very interesting subplot to a game that's going to have a bunch of other subplots. Now you may be wondering, Jacob, how does this affect your 2021 NFL mock draft that you did with Nick Ornberger? I'm glad you asked. To help me explain it, here's Jacob from the past.
You're listening to the Jacob Valk Show. I am Jacob Valk. And of course, the Ravens and Chiefs had to mess up what Nick and I did on Thursday. So fortunately, Nick was able to squeeze some time in for me so we can amend the latter part of our 2021 NFL mock draft. Nick, long time no chat. How are you today, pal? Okay?
It felt like forever, and I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
Okay. So before we get into the draft itself, give me your thoughts on the trade. Orlando Brown to the Chiefs. You bring in Joe Thuney before that. You've got to be ecstatic.
I'm over the moon. Just like I said to you when we got Thuney, my concerns still are the cap hell the Chiefs are going to keep putting themselves into. But at this point, in for what's the phrase? In for a dollar, in for a dime, or whatever it is, dime a dollar, whatever. They're in for trying to win as much as possible for the next 2 or 3 years. They're going to try to squeeze out another Super Bowl or two. So there's no reason not to do it. It was a lot to give up. I think that's clear. That's a lot. But you now have one of the best tackles in the NFL. You have one of the best guards in the NFL. And you have the makings of repairing the biggest issue from last year, which has been, and for the last couple of years, which has been this offensive line.
Let me just say this. If Brown and Thuney were Chiefs when you went up against the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl, you win easily. I don't think that's up for debate. You guys win that Super Bowl with those two guys. Do you agree with that?
You know what? I would like to. But really it comes down to Tom Brady played great, and Patrick Mahomes couldn't get time to throw. So for me, could they have won? Absolutely. I just think it would have been a duel between two all-time great quarterbacks, which is what I think everyone wanted to see. And unfortunately, two major injuries kept us all from seeing it.
Give me your thoughts on the Brown trade from the Ravens end of things. I know you have a friend that's a Ravens fan. Obviously, was unhappy, wanted to play left tackle, with Ronnie Stanley in the fold, that couldn't happen. So now Brown is the Chiefs. The Ravens are going to have to go up against the Chiefs if they want to make the Super Bowl again. Give me your thoughts on this trade from the Ravens end.
Look, they have the opportunity now, and they've taken advantage of it, getting rid of a huge distraction. This was not going to go away. He was not going to be quiet about it. And you know what? I don't think it's as bad as the media portrayed it from his side. He is sure in who he is and what he is, and he wanted to bet on himself, and now he has. So now he has the ability to show everybody he was right, and they should have just let him have what he wants. Having said that, he was putting them in a position where they'd have to force out another player, and they had to make a choice. And they made their choice loud and clear. They have a first-round draft pick now, and this is a very deep tackle draft, so they can definitely repair that other right side with the first-round pick. So I really don't see a downside for the Ravens. It made a lot of sense. The only thing I think you can say is it made your biggest rival stronger.
Right.
But you got to get there first. So I wouldn't be concerned about that from a Raven fan standpoint. I would be happy the distraction's gone and hopeful for the pick to come.
Yeah, and look, I think this was a win-win trade. The Chiefs got a lot better. The Ravens got a first-rounder. They desperately needed a first-rounder. They did have some holes that they needed to fill. And now with the 31st overall pick, they can do that. Now, speaking of the draft, now we'll get into it. I asked you because if we had done the draft tomorrow, you would be on the clock for the Ravens. I asked you, with the 31st overall pick, would you have taken Alex Leatherwood? And you said yes. So that makes life a lot easier for the two of us. We just have to amend picks 57 to 66. The reason why we're amending pick 57 is because Nick was on the clock for the Rams. That wouldn't be the case if we were doing this mock draft tomorrow. So, or the whole mock draft tomorrow, I should say. So I'm going to go on the clock for the Rams. Nick is going to go on the clock for the Chiefs and the team with the 59th overall pick. That, of course, is the Cleveland Browns. And then it'll alternate me even, Nick odd. We'll go up to 66. And truthfully, I'm glad that I'm on the clock for the Rams. Because while I like Wyatt Davis, I think Wyatt Davis is going to have a good career, and that's who you picked. It's not who I would have picked. I think the Rams have a bigger need at linebacker, and there was a linebacker that we didn't draft that I was upset about. I'm going to go with Taz Surratt being the 57th overall pick. Great against the run, really smart player, used to play quarterback, very athletic, can play all three downs. I understand that he's not the strongest guy in the world. He likes to game tackle a little too much. I think Surratt has a lot of potential. What are your thoughts on him?
No, I like it. I liked my pick too, obviously, but I definitely think the pick makes sense. Look, I think he's more of a well-rounded kind of guy, so I get it. You said the word all day last week. Jack of all trades, a master of none. That's really what you're going to get here with him. So I do not hate the pick.
All right. With the 58th overall pick, the Kansas City Chiefs will make their first pick in this draft. Nick, you're on the clock. What are they doing?
Well, I mean, for me, I've always said between tackle and receiver, what was the bigger issue? Where can you go, right? So for me, I'm just looking at it excited because I can take perhaps a higher rated receiver here. So I'm trying to see which one I want here. Yeah.
You know, it's kind of funny. I had a wide receiver going 58 on Thursday.
You did. And yeah, you would have, you think?
Yeah. I had the Ravens taking a wide receiver.
Right. That's right. You had them take Wallace, though. I'm fairly certain. Tylan Wallace.
That is correct.
However, yeah, you know what? I think I have to go that way because I had the Chiefs taking, I want to say, Nico Collins. And now I got to make the choice if I like Wallace better. You know what I do? I'm gonna go with you, Jake. The Chiefs are gonna select Tylan Wallace coming out of Oklahoma State in the very same place you had the Ravens going. That's where we're going. I'm keeping the pick.
Kind of interesting how things like that work out. The 31st and 58th overall picks don't change. The players themselves are still going in those spots. Obviously, the teams are changing, but the players aren't. That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's tough for me because I really like the idea of having Nico Collins there. I talked about it. I'm not going to go too deep into it. I talked about it the other day. I want to have that big jump ball threat. He's 6'4". He's big boy. But if you have a more traditional type receiver, which Tylan Wallace clearly is, and he's a real good open field runner. He's another one of these burner kind of guys. I like it. I like this a little bit better, and it fits with the scheme of what the Chiefs do a little better.
Him and Tyreek Hill together should be scary. I'll say that.
Oh, man.
All right, you're on the clock with the 59th overall pick, the Cleveland Browns. Who's going to Cleveland?
Well, again, this one's easy for me because I love my pick last time. I'm keeping Rousseau. He's one of the best 5 rushers in this game. I'm keeping Gregory Rousseau right where he is. I love the fact that, look, Cleveland needs an edge, and they have a chance to put them over the top. We talked about it, Myles Garrett. As you put Rousseau on the other side, I made the comparison. This is as dangerous an edge rushing line as we'll see since Freeney and Mathis, and the same thing goes for our picks regarding the San Diego Chargers too, or way early in the draft. But I'm keeping Rousseau right where he is. I'm playing a chalk right now, but I still like where he's going in the draft.
Yeah, look, I like Gregory Rousseau. If the Browns can get him at 59, that's a steal. This is a guy who I have a mid-second round grade on. Jack of all trades, master of none. I really, really like Rousseau. I think the Browns fans in attendance would be very, very happy with that pick. So now, with the 60th overall pick, we go to the New Orleans Saints. And in Thursday's mock draft, I had them taking Ifeatu Melifonwu. I think that's the direction that I'm going to go again. I know the Jets like him, local guy. Obviously, he went to Syracuse, but the Jets won't have the opportunity to take him. Really good ball skills, really good in run support. Not as great in his hands as I'd like him to be, but I like Melifonwu a lot. I think he has a lot of potential. What are your thoughts on Melifonwu?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is that him being a local guy, and the Jets clearly are showing interest already. I'm sure you're hearing the same reports I'm hearing. So there's an attraction there. If he's available, he's high on their draft boards. Unless an absolute diamond falls in their laps and is sitting there next to this kid, I think this is actually the route they're going to go. This seems like one of the more sure picks that we've made in this draft. If he, Mark, your words and mine, if he's available at 60 in the draft, they're taking Melifonwu.
All right, with the 61st overall pick, the Buffalo Bills go back on the clock. Who's going upstate New York?
Ooh, this is a little tough because it gives me a little chance to, to switch it up here. I like that I had Basham Jr. going defensive end is clearly a position of concern, specifically as it concerns edge rushers. I'm thinking about switching that around. I haven't had too much time to think about, but I'm thinking possibly switching it up and going for the cornerback position. But for me, the only real cornerback that's worth taking at this point in the draft, I don't know. I think it's a little too early for I think it might be too early for Stokes. Yeah, you know what? I hate that we're doing this or that I'm doing this a lot. I'm going to keep Basham Jr. I can't justify taking the kid from Georgia much higher than where he's at. So for right now, I'm going to keep it the way I'm going to keep this the way it is too.
Okay, all right. Look, I like Carlos Basham Jr. I think he has a very bright future. Very violent guy. You know, if he hits you, you're going to feel it for the next month. Jack of all trades, master of none. I know I keep saying that, but with Basham, it's truer than ever. I like the idea of Carlos Basham on that Bills defense, let me tell you. So now we get to the Green Bay Packers. And you know what? I'm going to give Aaron Rodgers a weapon. I really like that Anthony Schwartz was there at 62 when we did this on Thursday. I'm going to stick with Schwartz. I do think that he's the best wide receiver available at this point. Maybe you want the production to be a little bit better, and maybe he's not a home run threat. But the Packers do have a home run threat in Davante Adams and Marquise Valdes-Scantling. I think Schwartz is going to be a safer option for the Packers. Davante Adams, Marquise Valdes-Scantling, and Anthony Schwartz. That sounds pretty good to me. What are your thoughts on that?
I like it. And again, it's going to help. It's going to help to have a happy Aaron Rodgers. I don't think I've seen the guy smile playing football in a long time.
The happiest I've ever seen him is when he hosted Jeopardy.
You know what's funny is that might be true, too. He's been pigeonholed this entire time he's been around. They can't seem to fix anything around him. I know I said last week I'd like to see him with a legitimate defense. I think we fixed a little bit of that issue. We could continue on this pick, but no, he needs someone to throw the freaking ball to, man. And I think this is a good place for Schwartz to come off the board.
The Kansas City Chiefs are back on the clock. This time it's 63 overall, their own pick. What are they doing?
Yeah, I thought I was going to get an opportunity. I was going to have to be a little more creative, but we've gone pretty much chalked the way this whole draft has gone. We
did not plan this, by the way. Let me tell you. We did not plan this, by the way.
Oh, no, we never do. That's the fun of it. It's,
right.
It's always just kind of, we want this to be as similar to how executives and GMs are thinking in the war room, which is reacting to other teams' picks.
Yeah.
So, all right. I can either go chalk and keep what I had and arm the Kansas City Chiefs with yet another receiver and go right for Nico Collins and make this receiving core just stupid. Or I can fill another position need. Let's see. I'm thinking linebacker. We have spent a lot of money on the defensive line. So I think the best things to do, and look, coverage has been an issue too. Let me not act like our coverage is the best, the bee's knees. It's not. Again, I still think Stokes is a third-round project. I don't rate him high or even low in the second round. So for me, and the safeties are kind of fine. Sorensen, Tyrann Mathieu. I think linebackers where I need to go here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the last I'm going to take kind of a project, but I do rate him. I do rate him as a low second rounder. Coming out of the University of North Carolina, I'm going to go ahead and select, Chaz Surratt.
I took 57.
What's that?
I took him 50. Yeah, I took him to the Rams.
Oh, son of a gun! You took him out from under me, so now I don't have a choice. Ah, darn it. This is what happens, man. Okay.
You're just trying to make
really No, because there's another guy I really like. Coming out of the University of Ohio State, Pete Warner. Good size, really good size for an inside linebacker. He's going to be one of these guys who is a good chase down tackler, takes good angles, and the only thing is that's worrying me, you're not going to get he's got some relatively weak zone recognition skills, but that can be worked out over time. Great size, good chase down speed. He's long, he's big, he's perfect size for a linebacker. I don't like that he's coming out of Ohio State because I don't like Ohio State. But I'm taking Pete Warner here and feeling very good about this new Kansas City defensive unit.
Yeah, here's the thing about Werner, and you kind of hit on it. He's not going to play on third down. He is not going to pass protection. But first and second down, if you want a thumper, it's Pete Werner. You know, this is a little bit of a reach for me. I had closer to a mid to late third round grade on Werner, but I understand that this portion of the draft, it's okay to reach a little bit. Maybe you really want to, it's possible that the Chiefs could trade up to get him. You know, Werner does fill a need for the Chiefs. I totally get that. So we move on now to the 64th overall pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I'm going to give them a defensive end, the best defensive end available. I don't know how this guy went undrafted the first time we did this. Oh, wait, no. Actually, I take that back. He didn't go undrafted. I went this direction on Thursday, and I'm going to stick with it. I really liked it. I thought I was going to take Patrick Jones the second, but I'm not going to because this guy is better. It's Ronnie Perkins coming out of Oklahoma, just an absolute beast in terms of getting to the quarterback, put up great numbers at Oklahoma, really smart guy, very twitchy. I like Ronnie Perkins a lot, and it's a steal to get him with the last pick in the second round.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This is an excellent pick, and look, we see it every year. There's these guys that are head scratchers, man. It's like, how on earth did he fall this far? But it happens every year, and it's a great pick for the Buccaneers. Yeah, no doubt about it. And he stays exactly where we had him in the first place. So very cool.
See, I like my pick. Believe it or not, I actually know what I'm doing. I had to think about it, and it's like, yeah, you know what? Good job, Jacob, from the past. I like what you said. Jacksonville Jaguars start off the third round with the 65th overall pick. Obviously, they've already taken Trevor Lawrence for our purposes. What are they doing at 65?
Well, you took Ronnie Perkins right out from Ronnie Perkins. You took Ronnie Perkins, who is where I would have gone prior. Javante Williams is where I went last time. And I'm tempted to leave it alone. But I'm just sort of looking over notes and trying to see, is this a mistake? Is this the right move? Is this the wrong move?
Yeah, I don't make mistakes. I'm perfect.
Yeah, well, you know what, Jacob? Not everybody's you, okay? No. Trying to make this a little more interesting. Like, people are going to listen and be like, oh, I tuned in to hear the same pick.
know.
I'm kidding. I think I'm going to go a little differently.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead, and you might call me crazy. This is where I'm putting Nico Collins. I'm taking Nico Collins, and I'm putting him now with the first pick of the third round. Nico Collins is selected by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay. I mean, that's an interesting move because you took a wide receiver for the Chiefs previously, but look, for the Jaguars previously, but arm Trevor Lawrence as much as possible.
Yep.
I totally get that. Nico Collins is that jump ball threat that the Jaguars just don't have. You know, you can throw those goal line saves, and Collins will be able to catch them. He is a home run threat, fantastic frame, 6'4", 215 pounds. Yeah, I don't mind it. I really, really don't.
I wouldn't mind it either. And if I'm Trevor Lawrence walking in,
he's backflips.
Yeah. Look, they're going to have plenty of time to finish fixing this defensive unit as we go forward. I think the better off you have your quarterback of the future, 2 brand new stud receivers, tackle of the future. I just think the more armed he is, the better off you're going to be. Oh, and by the way, I'm pretty sure I got him a safety too. I think I did, didn't I? I was the one who drafted Trayvon Moehrig, right?
Moehrig did go in this draft already. He went 27. I just closed out the order because
here we go. Yeah, 27 overall pick. That is the Jackson. No, you took up for the Ravens. Who the hell did I take for? Oh, Jalen Mayfield is. But that's. I'm trying to remember what I got these guys. Because I've been literally the whole draft. I got them grants. That's what I got.
At 45. Yeah. Okay.
That's funny. No. I feel like I spent all my time
down over 2 days and a whole weekend. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Okay. The 66th overall pick still belongs to the Jets. Just end the season. No, can't end the season. Got to go into it with a sense of optimism. Let's see what Zach Wilson can do. Let's see what Robert Saleh can do. I'm trying to stay optimistic, but I don't see this team finishing with more than 5 wins. I liked the pick that I gave them on Thursday. I think it makes a ton of sense. I understand that after picking Zach Wilson, I went all defense. Okay, I get that. There are going to be a lot of people upset about that. I'm going to go offense later. You have to realize something. The Jets spent a lot of money on offense this offseason. Corey Davis, Keelan Cole, Kevin Coleman, Tyler Croft, et cetera. They didn't do as much on defense. Yes, they brought in Carl Lawson and Sheldon Rankins and Vinnie Curry, but that was it. You know, it didn't move the needle much for me outside of Lawson, and they really didn't need Rankins or Curry. They have to improve the defense. It's just that simple. I'm going to go offense later. For now, Aaron Robinson has to be the pick. Prototypical nickel corner. Really smart guy. Good in coverage. Fantastic in run support. I kind of like the idea of corner blitzes with Aaron Robinson. You really don't see that from your nickel corners, so that will be kind of fun to see. I like Aaron Robinson. I felt good about that pick on Thursday, and I still feel good about it. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't mind the pick. Look, you know me. I think the best thing to do, especially concerning new quarterbacks, is arm them as much as possible and make sure you're protecting them as much as possible. I don't hate the pick. I'm just surprised because we're going out of into the depths of the third round, and we're signing off here, obviously, into the depths of the third round, and Javante Williams, one of the best running backs in this draft, is not off the board. It's kind of crazy, but I know you had the issue. I know you had the issue of the dual running back system, which is why originally I thought it would work in Jacksonville, and I went away from it. So who am I to talk? But I do get this pick, and I think the more you start repairing this defense, whether they're Band-Aids or absolutely surgical replacements, I think the Jets will go as well as their defense goes, as well as their brand-new quarterback goes, whoever that may be, although we think it's Wilson.
Yeah, and one other thing that's kind of interesting, no defensive tackles taken with the first 66 picks. Christian Barmore is still available. Levi Onwuzurike still available.
Oh, yeah.
Elite McNeil still available. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, I think it just goes to say there's a lot of teams who have addressed that issue in the last few years. And also, this was not the deepest inside defensive lineman draft as far as three technique and nose guard. And,
right. Barmore is good, but he's not great.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, he's going to have flashes, but he's not going to. He's going to be one of those guys you plug him into your defense and you ignore him until you realize, oh, yeah, that's a play. I know that guy. He's not going to jump off the screen to you. We depleted cornerback pretty much. We didn't hit as many safeties. You still have Holland out of Oregon still available. Andre Sisco from Syracuse, if you don't mind the small schools.
Javon Holland did go 48. I did take him 48 overall for the race.
Yes, you did. But either way, there's still some safety help out there. I'm guessing third round would be where that happens.
Andre Sisco, Jamar Johnson, Richard LeCount. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how the rest of the draft goes.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to watching it. Not with you just yet, but whenever we're back in the same area, can be in the same room, we'll do one of these drafts live, hopefully.
Don't worry. If the Jets do something stupid at 23, I'm going to text you like a madman.
People need to understand whenever I get a call from Jacob after a dumb decision by the Jets, it's just ring, ring, hello. What the hell are they thinking about?
Welcome to the life of a Jets fan, where you spend your entire life thinking, what on God's green earth are they smoking?
It's just funny because most of the time I didn't see the move, and I have to catch up. I'm like, gosh, this is either the Jets or the Mets. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. You know what's funny though? You're actually the guy who alerted me to the Darnold trade because I was away from my phone when the Jets traded Darnold. I got a text from you. It appeared on my MacBook, and it says the Jets just traded Darnold or whatever it said. I don't remember. It's like, wait, what? What just happened? Let me get on Twitter really fast. Yay! The Jets traded Sam Darnold. He's now a Panther.
Yeah, I remember saying, like, I feel like they could got a bit more, and you go, no, this is awesome.
They got a second, a fourth, and a sixth for a guy who I think is going to be out of the NFL in 3 years. I'm happy. I'm a happy Jets fan, but Sam Darnold's a Panther, and Zach Wilson is going to be a Jet in less than a week.
Well, I still think there's talent there. We'll have to see if if it doesn't work out in Carolina, though, it's not going to work out anywhere.
Right.
I always look at quarterbacks that become journeyman quarterbacks. If they couldn't figure out how to be a legitimate starter with two teams, the third isn't going to be the one they get married to. I'm sure you can find all of the X factors to my rule that you want. It's more common than it is than not. So,
right.
Best of luck to him, and the Jets got exactly what they wanted, not him.
In Zach Wilson, we trust.
Yes.
Moving on now to a very interesting report from Tom Pelissero of NFL.com. He said that the Niners have narrowed down who they're going to use the third overall pick on to either Mac Jones or Trey Lance? Evidently, Justin Fields just fell off a cliff or something? Am I going to get that breaking news on my phone? What's that? No, I'm not. The Niners are just stupid? Okay, that makes a little more sense. I mean, look, here's what I'll say. Alright. Trey Lance, in a weird way, I can justify. One of the things that makes Fields a much better prospect than Lance, in my eyes, is the fact that he's more of a plug-and-play guy. It doesn't matter what team we're talking about. You want Justin Fields starting week 1 a lot more than you want Trey Lance starting week 1. Lance is a lot more of a project. Now, the Niners have been very consistent in saying that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be their starter next year. Did people believe it? The majority of people didn't. But let's just say that they were actually telling the truth. Lance may make more sense than Fields. You can make the argument that Trey Lance has a higher ceiling than Justin Fields. Do I agree with that? No. I think Fields has a very high ceiling. I like Fields. I like Fields a lot. I don't see a world where Justin Fields, at the very least, doesn't turn out to be a game manager. Trey Lance can flame out of the NFL in 5 years. He has a very low floor. I just saw Carson Wentz put out one of the worst seasons by a quarterback that any quarterback had last year. That does mean something. That's not to say that I don't like Lance. I do. I love his ceiling. I love the fact that he's a true dual-threat quarterback. He can take passes from under center, and he can take snaps from the shotgun and do his best Lamar Jackson impression. I mean, I'll tell you, in the mock draft that I did with Nick, he had Lance going 15th overall to the Patriots. That scared me as a Jets fan. You'd be hard-pressed to think of a better coach for Trey Lance than Bill Belichick. If anyone can make Lance work, it's Belichick. That's not to say that Kyle Shanahan can't make Lance work, but I do think that Kyle Shanahan is overrated. We talk about Shanahan as this offensive wunderkind. He's only made the playoffs once. He went on the magical run in 2019. Whoop-de-freaking-do. One playoff run in 4 years does not an offensive guru make. Could Shanahan and Lance work wonders? The answer is yes, that possibility does exist, but I have a lot more faith in Shanahan and Fields working than I would Shanahan and Lance working. Okay, Jacob, you spent all this time talking about Trey Lance. What about Mac Jones? If the 49ers take Mac Jones, that is a fireable offense. You cannot trade up from 12 to 3 and give up 3 first-round draft picks in the process for Mac freaking Jones? Firstly, you could have gotten him at 12. Let's say there's no trade. Let's say the top 12 stays the same. The Dolphins aren't taking a quarterback. The Falcons aren't. The Bengals aren't. The Eagles could. Okay, so let's say a quarterback goes 6. The Lions aren't. The Panthers aren't. The Broncos could. So that's 2 quarterbacks off the board. The Cowboys and Giants aren't. You have the opportunity to get Jones at 12. You're telling me that the Eagles would take Mac Jones over Justin Fields or Trey Lance? No way. Fields would be the only quarterback worth taking. So he's off the board at 6. At 9, the Broncos would take Lance. Realize, John Elway is no longer in charge. It's George Payton. Elway would probably take Jones over Lance. But I think Payton would take Lance over Jones. Just from what I know about those 2 guys, that's the sense I'm getting. So that leaves Mac Jones right there at 12. But that brings up another issue. Is Mac Jones going to work out? I don't think so. I gotta be honest with you. I think Mac Jones has the lowest ceiling out of any quarterback in this draft. The Big 6, Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, Lance, Trask, and Jones. Jones has the lowest ceiling of all of them. You'll notice I put Trask ahead of Jones. That was on purpose. I like Trask more than Jones. Mac Jones is not athletic. I don't care how he tested at the combine. Watch Alabama games. He's not athletic. See how he does without Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, John Mechie, Najee Harris, and Nick Saban. Those guys were elevating Jones. Jones wasn't even elevating them a little bit. Tua elevated his supporting cast. Again, watch the games. He does not have a good arm. He has a slow release. He had a magical season last year. Led the Crimson Tide to an undefeated season. They were national champions. Jones threw for 4,500 yards and 41 touchdowns. Congratulations. Magical season. That means nothing. My dead grandmother could have been the quarterback of that Alabama team. And she would have done all right. You can take Lance at 3. I don't mind that. That makes a little bit of sense. Not as much sense as Fields, but I understand the idea of giving Lance a full year under Garoppolo, under Shanahan, and letting him develop. Mac Jones makes no sense whatsoever. That's a fireable offense. But if Lance or Jones goes 3, it brings up an interesting question. Where's Justin Fields going to go? Let's go through the draft order. Is Fields going to be a Falcon? I don't see it. They still have Matt Ryan. Bengals, no. Dolphins, it seems like they're content with Tua. They want to give it another go with him. That's why they were okay with trading down. The Lions know. The Panthers, as much as I hate Sam Darnold, I just don't see it. I don't see how you can take a quarterback at 8 after trading a 2nd, a 4th, and a 6th for Sam Darnold. That just doesn't make sense to me. That leaves the Broncos at 9. The Broncos would love Fields. I'm skeptical of Drew Lock's NFL future. You want to have Lock start for the first few games? Okay, fine. But then, roll with Fields. Realize, new regimes mean new quarterbacks. But I will say this. If Fields starts to slip, you're going to see quarterback-needy teams that don't have top 10 picks try to move up. In fact, one of those teams is the Patriots, also according to Pelissero. You'd have to trade up to either 7 or 8 to make sure you get Fields if you're the Patriots. But my God, think about the 4 teams in the AFC East and their quarterbacks. The Bills with Josh Allen, the Dolphins with Tua, the Jets with Zach Wilson, and the Patriots with Justin Fields? There's no division in the NFL that has as good a crop of quarterbacks as the AFC East. If that's how the draft shakes out. Maybe the NFC West, but it's close. It's really, really close. Fields would set the Patriots up for success for the next 15 years. I think Belichick wants to leave the Patriots in a good place before he takes a step back. You can't do much better than Justin Fields. As a Jets fan, I had to deal with Tom Brady for 20 years. I don't want to deal with Fields for 15. I'll take my chances with Lance, not Fields. Look, one thing's for sure. If the top 3 is Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, I don't think you're going to see a lot of trades. If it's Lawrence, Wilson, and not Fields, watch out for fireworks. Speaking of trades, there's a marquee talent that's generating interest, according to Ian Rappaport of NFL.com. And that is Julio Jones. Now, it's kind of interesting. Because of the Falcons' cap situation, they could only trade Jones after June 1st. That way, they can split his dead money count between 2021 and 2022. So pay attention the first week of June. You could see Julio Jones in a different uniform. But I don't like it. I don't like the idea of the Falcons trading Jones. Why do you want to blow things up so badly if you're the Falcons? I don't get it. You get rid of the terrible coach in Dan Quinn, one of the worst in the league. You bring in a new GM in Terry Fontenot. You bring in a new coach in Arthur Smith. You've got a really good core in place with Matt Ryan and Jones and Calvin Ridley and Russell Gage. Obviously, you still have Grady Jarrett, Dante Fowler, and Deion Jones. You signed Eric Harris and Duron Harmon. I don't understand why you'd want to rebuild. There's a window for you to make some noise, especially if you draft Kyle Pitts. Oh my God, if you draft Kyle Pitts, that Falcons offense goes into overdrive. So trading Jones makes no sense. Look, if this is really the sign of things to come, this dismal 4-12 season, where you never even sniff the playoffs, okay, blow things up. But I truly think that the 4-12 was an aberration. I think that the Falcons can get back to that 500 area, and you can fight for a playoff spot. Maybe it won't overtake the Buccaneers, maybe it won't overtake the Saints, but you can certainly fight for a wild card spot. Trading Jones makes no sense. If you're going to trade Jones, blow the whole thing up. Trade everyone. Draft a quarterback at 4 and just blow the whole thing up. But if I was in charge of the Falcons, I would take Kyle Pitts at 4 and see what happens in the coming season. Alright, now I'll give you some MLB Vault talk. And I'll start with the no-hitter that wasn't. In the second half of a 7-inning doubleheader yesterday that the Diamondbacks played against the Braves, Madison Bumgarner threw a 7-inning no-hitter. What's also noteworthy is that in Game 1, Zach Gallen threw a 7-inning one-hitter. So in 14 innings of baseball, in one day, the Braves only had one hit. You know how many errors they had in those 2 games? 3. They had more errors than hits in a doubleheader. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Now, interestingly, this does not count as an official no-hitter. The rules state that you need to throw at least 9 innings to get credited with a no-hitter. Now, there are people that are upset about this. Their argument is, if the game could only go 7 innings, and that's what you've decreed, why are you punishing pitchers for that? If the game is set to be 7 innings long, and it went 7 innings, it's not like it was set to be 9 innings long, but it only went 7 innings. Why are you punishing Bumgarner? And that's a good argument. I like that argument. I don't have a comeback for that. I have a comeback for a different part of it. Why are there 7-inning doubleheaders? When I heard that we were doing this again for this year, as opposed to just making it a one-off for last year, I didn't like it. I criticized it on this show. See, I like the argument of the no-hitter shouldn't count because we shouldn't be playing 7-inning games. What's the point of cutting 4 innings? 2 in each game of a doubleheader. What, the coronavirus is more likely to get you in the 8th or 9th inning? I mean, come on, it makes no sense. It's always been 9 innings. I've watched 7-inning doubleheaders. You have to constantly remind yourself, it's 7 innings, it's 7 innings. If you see Aroldis Chapman in the 7th inning with the Yankees up 1, that's okay. It's a joke. 7-inning doubleheaders. I don't know anyone who likes it. Now, I know what the counter to that is going to be. Okay, fine. You don't like it. It shouldn't be a thing. But it is a thing, at least for this year. We need to live with it. And I understand that argument, but then you're opening up Pandora's box. Well, wait a minute. Armando Galarraga couldn't control the fact that Jim Joyce blew the call on the 27th out of his 28-out perfect game. Are we going to give him a perfect game for that? No, we can't. Instant replay wasn't in effect that year. So it stands as a one-hitter. If it's a 9-inning game, and Gerrit Cole is throwing a no-hitter through 7 innings, and the heavens open up, that's it, the game's over, the Yankees win 10-0. Does Gerrit Cole get credit for that no-hitter? No! I mean, truthfully, I see it both ways. I understand not punishing Bumgarner for the fact that the length of the game was set at 7 innings and he threw a no-hitter for 7 innings. But I also understand not honoring a pitcher for a 7-inning performance. I really see it both ways, but let me tell you, the bigger story is the dreadful performance by the Braves. They're now tied with the Marlins for 4th in the NL East. They're really not playing good baseball right now. No one's hitting for the Braves outside of Acuna, Inciarte, and Sandoval. I'd be a little more concerned about that than I would be honoring a pitcher for throwing a no-hitter in a 7-inning joke of a game. I'll tell you what wasn't a joke of a game, though. Yesterday's Padres-Dodgers game. In fact, that whole series wasn't a joke. Those were some fantastic games. Even the second game, when the Padres won 6-1. The Padres were only up 3-1 entering the 9th inning. It's just that Corey Knebel and Dennis Santana couldn't shut the door. The series was amazing. Game 1, the Padres are up 2-0. A.J. Pollock and Sheldon Noyce hit 2 home runs in the bottom of the 7th. Then in the top of the 8th, the Padres scratch out a run. Blake Trinan does not look good. He gives up 3 hits in the 8th. Mark Melancon gets the save. Game 3, a back-and-forth affair. The Padres are up 2-0. Then it's tied at 2. Then the Padres go up 3-2. Then the Dodgers go off on Pierce Johnson. They're up 5-3. The Padres scratch out a run on a wild pitch. The Dodgers win 5-4. You've got Fernando Tatis mocking Trevor Bauer. I'll say this. there may be no more exciting player in the majors than Fernando Tatis Jr. There's a reason that he's on the cover of MLB The Show 21. But yesterday's game took the cake. The Dodgers score 5 runs in the bottom of the 6th. They absolutely go off on Nick Ramirez. It's 7-1. No one thinks that the Padres can come back. They score 2 in the 7th, 2 in the 8th, 2 in the 9th, and then they win it in the 11th on a walk-off sacrifice fly by Eric Hosmer that scored, who else? Fernando Tatis Jr. If you're keeping score, the Padres won the series 3-1. And here's what's so unfair. These two teams have already played each other 7 times. They played each other from the 16th to the 18th. The Dodgers took 2 of those 3 games. These two teams won't meet again until June 21st in San Diego. That's the real World Series, let me tell you. That's a playoff preview. These two teams are going to go at it in the NLDS. It should be in the NLCS, but it can't. Because you can go up against teams in your own division in the NLDS now. That rule should change. These two teams are going to be really fun to watch going forward. Forget just the 12 games that they have left against each other. When these two teams are beating up on the Giants, who are having a really good start to the season, but it's not going to last, the Diamondbacks and the Rockies, it's going to be must-see TV. I mean, the Rockies are holding their own too, for whatever it's worth. They're 8-13. That's better than some people thought they'd be 21 games into this season. And they have a positive run differential. They've scored 100 runs. They've only given up 94. The NL West is the only division in Major League Baseball where all 5 teams have a positive run differential. That division's going to be really, really fun to track all year. Moving on now to a story that really ticked me off, but it shouldn't have. According to Buster Olney of ESPN, the Yankees and Angels had the briefest of conversations about an Aaron Judge trade. Now, it's important to note that the talks didn't get far. I'm sure that Brian Cashman never really considered trading Aaron Judge. The fan base would kill him. And you can't stop another GM from calling you. And I like Perry Manassian. I think he has a good head on his shoulders. I like what he's done this offseason. But here's the thing, though. This is what I would have done. If I was Brian Cashman and Perry Manassian called me and said, what would it take for Aaron Judge? I'd have said, use your noodle, he's untouchable, click. Don't waste my time with dumb stuff. Look, I understand that probably every player is asked about in trades. I'm sure that at least one team has called the Mets on Jacob deGrom in the last 12 months. Same thing with a guy like Mike Trout. Same thing with a guy like Alex Verdugo. But it just ticks me off that Cashman didn't hang up the phone. Just say it's not going to happen. And that's it. The only player who I would trade Aaron Judge for when I'm talking about the Angels is Mike Trout. Not Joe Adele, not Shohei Ohtani, not Raisel Iglesias, not David Fletcher, Mike Trout. You want to do Judge for Trout straight up? Fine. But that's not going to happen. Don't waste my time with stupidity. I mean, I guess you can't fault a guy for trying. I understand that Manassian is just doing his job. And look, if the trade happens, he looks like a genius. I mean, that's probably how these blockbusters start. You call on a guy. If you don't get a no right away, you keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Eventually, the trade gets done. But, come on, be realistic. You can't trade Aaron Judge. Okay, he hasn't had the greatest start to the season. Yeah, he's injury prone. I understand that. There are a lot of guys who fall into that description, though. Giancarlo Stanton falls into that description. Gary Sanchez falls into that description. Jameson Taillon falls into that description. Corey Kluber falls into that description. No, there is no way on this earth that you can even entertain the thought of trading Aaron Judge. No. I mean, it didn't happen, so it probably shouldn't tick me off as much as it does, but man, I was upset reading that this morning, let me tell you. I do want to talk about the really sad death of Mike Davis, who died yesterday at the age of 65. Long before the drive, long before the fumble, long before the move, there was Red Right 88. Jacob, what was Red Right 88? I'm glad you asked. I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. The Browns are hosting the Raiders in the divisional round of the 1980 NFL playoffs. Whoever won this game was going to go up against the Chargers in the AFC title game. The Raiders are up 14-12 in the fourth quarter. The Browns really couldn't get much going at all offensively in that game. But on their final drive, they finally got some momentum. Brian Sipe completed some big passes to Ozzie Newsome and Greg Pruitt. Mike Pruitt had some big runs. There's less than a minute left in the game. The Browns have the ball on the Raiders' 13-yard line. It's second down at this point. Sam Rutigliano was the Browns head coach. He called a play called Red Slot Right Halfback Stay 88. He also told Sipe to throw the ball out of bounds if there's no one wide open. Realize, it's second down at this point. You don't need to force anything. Sipe decided to force a pass to Newsome in a play that would be sort of similar to what Malcolm Butler did in the Super Bowl against the Seahawks. Mike Davis cut in front of Newsome. He read the play perfectly and intercepted the pass, ensuring a Raiders victory. Now, I could go deeper into the play that was Red Right 88, but this is supposed to be about Mike Davis. I just wanted to give you the Cliff Notes version. After beating the Browns, the Raiders beat the Chargers in the AFC title game and beat the Eagles in Super Bowl 15. A few years later, the Raiders were back in the Super Bowl. This time they were the Los Angeles Raiders. They destroyed all comers in that playoffs. They destroyed the Steelers, they destroyed the Seahawks, and they destroyed the Redskins in Super Bowl 18. Mike Davis's career is defined by him being the interceptor on Red Right 88, but he had a really good career. For 6 seasons, he was one of the best safeties in all of football. He has 2 Super Bowl rings. Yes, an iconic moment like that is going to define you forever. 20 years from now, we're going to remember Malcolm Butler for the interception. Nothing else. We remember Bobby Thompson and Ralph Branca for the shot heard round the world. Nothing else. We remember Doug Bryan for kicking the Jets out of a playoff win against the Steelers in 2004. Nothing else. Iconic moments do define you. But Davis did have a really good career outside of Red Right 88. When you think of great safeties from the late 70s to the late 80s, you think of guys like Ronnie Lott, Gary Fensick, Donnie Shell, and Kenny Easley. You should think of Davis too. May he rest in peace. Brooklyn Nets show comes your way tonight. Also, I have some interview news for you. On Wednesday, I'm going to be talking to an old friend of the show, Lou Friedman. He wrote a book about Johnny Vandermeer. It's going to be really fun to talk to him again. Until next time, I am Jacob Valk saying that Pedro Guerrero's only limitation was his ability to move around.